We have our champions. Another team is safe. Manchester City have been crowned Premier League champions after Arsenal failed to get a victory over Nottingham Forest, who in turn are safe in the Premier League themselves. Leeds United have taken yet another turn towards the drop zone. Join me as we go through the games that have made the headlines in this weekend of Premier League fixtures on the recap. Please like the video and subscribe. It really would mean a lot to me. But now, let's talk football. Manchester City are champions for the third time in a row this season. They defeated Chelsea by 1-0 and secured their champion status. It was secured earlier on in the weekend, but we're going to be getting to that in just a moment, so bear with me. But as for this game, it wasn't the greatest now, was it? Man City pretty much dominated and Chelsea struggled to really maintain any kind of pressure or momentum, albeit they had some chances. And while this game wasn't the most entertaining of matches, it did throw up some interesting talking points, which we're going to be going through, mainly around Chelsea, because, ooh dear. Right, let's have a look at the teams. This is Manchester City's, essentially, second team. Second? Would you say it's second or third? Because it's definitely not their first, and that is kind of where the first point is going. Laporte and Akanji as a second team centre-back partnership is ridiculous. Calvin Phillips played his first start for the season in the Premier League, and the rest are pretty much substitutes, bar Alvarez and Kyle Walker probably. Stefan Ortega I thought did a very good job against some good Chelsea shots. That needs to be mentioned. But if we have a look at this Chelsea team in comparison, this is essentially a Chelsea first team. Yes, you're missing Reece James, yes, you're missing Chilwell, but apart from that, could you really make a case for anyone else missing? Really? Honestly? Because I don't think I could. And that's very concerning that Chelsea's pretty much first team couldn't beat Man City's third team. And perhaps that's being a little bit hyperbolic, but they really were pretty much played off the park. And that just shows the state that both clubs are in. I understand Chelsea are going through some problems. I understand that they're waiting for new management. I get all of that. But even then, you need to put up a fight against Man City's second team or third team. Again, understanding what Pep Guardiola wants from him, Cole Palmer drifting inside a little bit further. Riyad Mahrez, the space that he had was absolutely sublime. And then you have the likes of Rico Lewis and Calvin Phillips sitting next to each other. Very, very good. Rico Lewis is very impressive. Needs to be said. But if we look at Chelsea, they just lacked a bit of penetration, didn't they? They didn't have the width to really pen Man City back, and they didn't have the energy in the middle of midfield to maintain any kind of pressure, and it was too easy for City to get out. And once City did get the ball, you found Chelsea dropped back into these defensive positions faster than they were able to really maintain any kind of momentum. And that's really where the game was lost. They had a shot, and then it was almost ricocheted, and they were bounced back with a bit of recoil, and it just stopped them from gaining any kind of pressure. I thought Sterling played quite a good game, to be honest. I thought he missed a couple of decent chances, but I thought he was okay on the ball, trying to prove himself to his old club, of course. But the width from Chelsea was okay, it was alright, but really, did they manage to muster up anything? No, not really. And it just fell flat a little bit, and that was how I would describe this game, just a little flat. If we have a look at some of the stats before we finish, I just want to say, it wasn't great. I mean, 2 shots on target from Man City, it wasn't good at all, and that's kind of where the game was lost. 6 shots on target for Chelsea, but a higher expected assist. Chelsea had a higher expected goals, which is very interesting to see. And if we keep having a look down, I was actually quite impressed with the way that Chelsea came out swinging. More aerial duels, more duels won. But then it was just a little bit late, almost. They just didn't really seem in the game. And you can see that from the attacking momentum bar. The game ended Man City 1, Chelsea 0. Man City are champions. And they played like champions. And they played like a team full of confidence. And it could have been probably a little bit more. Chelsea huffed and puffed, yes, and they tried. But they need the end of the season badly. It could have been worse, and Man City really let their foot off the gas, else it could have been a very, very bad day for Chelsea. The game ended 1-0 to Man City. Chelsea need the summer. Man City are champions, and deservedly so. Remember how I spoke about the fact that Man City had already won the title before they were able to play against Chelsea? Yeah, that's because of this game. Arsenal. They were beaten by Nottingham Forest by 1-0, and first things first, congratulations to Nottingham Forest, who maintain their Premier League status. They are in the league for another season. I'm very, very happy for them. They thoroughly deserve it for the effort they put in towards the last push of the season. I think if you'd have given Nottingham Forest any kind of safety in any form, I'm sure they would have taken it. So congratulations on staying in the Premier League for another year. I look forward to seeing what you can do with the squad and what Steve Cooper can do with the squad later on. They deserve so much credit for sticking by their manager when everyone else were making changes. It's just fantastic. Now on to Arsenal and on to the game, because really, what were you thinking? Credit to Nottingham Forest, they scored from their real one moment or a couple moments of pressure, but the rest of the game was Arsenal, if we're honest. And when we have a look at the teams, I've got to question what on earth was going through Mikel Arteta's head. Because, yes, Nottingham Forest were fine. I like this back three, by the way. Really like it. I like this midfield four. I think they got good energy and they also have good counter-attacking power going forwards. Very good. But as for an Arsenal perspective, I'm going to have a video coming out soon on how Nottingham Forest were able to beat Arsenal. Going to go a little bit more in depth into how everything broke down and how the tactics really helped Nottingham Forest and how Arsenal essentially shot themselves in the foot. But we're going to be going over it in a little bit more of a broader detail in this video. So stay tuned for how Nottingham Forest beat Arsenal. But as for this, what were you thinking? There's experimentation and there's experimentation. You need your players to be in the right moment. You're trying to stop Man City from winning the title, and no matter how unlikely it looks, you need to win the game. You need to put pressure on your opponents. Why are you playing Thomas Partey at right back? Why are you playing Kiwior at left back when you have Kieran Tierney on the bench? Why? It makes no sense to me. Is he a left back? Is he a left back? Granit Xhaka's meant to be leaving. Why is he still in the starting 11? Trossard's positioning is extremely poor in my opinion. Jorginho, it wasn't really that mobile or that good in this game either. Bukayo Saka desperately needs a rest. And it all comes down to some of the player positioning that I have massive issue with. Really like this from Nottingham Forest, by the way. Really good, really compact, and then you have the front two trying to go forwards, trying to make sure that they can spread the play, being vertical with it. It's extremely good. They made themselves difficult to beat, but then dangerous on the counter-attack. Brilliant, brilliant play from the underdog side in Nottingham Forest. What is this? Honestly, what am I looking at? This is a decent defensive line, I suppose. They had a lot of the ball, they're high in possession. Where is your left winger? Oh yeah, there he is. What is this? I mean, if you compare it to the way that Arsenal played against Nottingham Forest previously, they won 5-0 in this game. 5-0 at home. And you can see verticality, you can see decent width, you can see a good dimension to the way Arsenal play. There's pressure along every side. They have balance to this side. Now contrast this with this. There is no balance to this side. Where is the balance here? There is barely any verticality. They're all getting stuck under each other's feet, and they don't know where they're going. Bukayo Saka is the only player that's maintaining his position, really. And then you have Thomas Partey just coming into this Odegaard position, which doesn't work. The overlaps weren't really there because Saka likes to stay out wide, and they didn't have any balance on the other side. It just was not good enough, and they need to look at themselves. Just poor. And that was really how the game broke down. Yes, the stats will be forever in Arsenal's favour, but they were really never threatening Nottingham Forest, if I'm completely honest. They were never really threatening them. 3 shots on target from 82% possession is a bit of a joke, in my opinion. And then you have a look at some of the rest of the stats, and it just was nowhere near good enough. Yes, they won their duels, mostly. Yes, they won more aerial duels, but Nottingham Forest had more tackles, they had more interceptions, they had more clearances, and it just showed a good amount of determination and work ethic, something that Arsenal seemed to fail to have, and they went out with a whimper. It's a shame because of the good season that Arsenal have had, but they went out like they didn't believe, and that is probably the worst thing you can say about this Arsenal team at the moment. They didn't believe in themselves, and I'm seeing a lot of people coming out and saying that, well, they know that they've had a good season, and yeah, but the moment was there, and unfortunately they didn't take it. And I'm not criticising them for not having the ability to take it, But you need to put in a little bit more effort into this game. And you need to not make silly choices like this. I mean, this is baffling to me. It's almost like Arteta didn't know what to do with his squad, looked at what Pep has been doing for a while, and thought, yeah, I'll try that. And it just seemed off. You could tell from the first 20 minutes it seemed off, and I'm not sure why Arteta tried it. Perhaps he's experimenting for next season, perhaps he thinks the season is gone, and it probably is gone, but you need to put in a little bit more than that. Credit to Nottingham Forest because they were absolutely sensational. Arsenal were woeful. The game ended Nottingham Forest 1, Arsenal 0, and Arsenal handed the title to Manchester City. Handed it. But Nottingham Forest are safe. Welcome to the Premier League once more. Gonna see you next season. One team that might not be in the Premier League next season is Leeds United, especially after their 3-1 loss to West Ham. And you'd like to say that they put in fight, they put in effort, they put in heart, and they put in quality to try and get the best outcome from themselves. Unfortunately, that was not the case. It was not at all. West Ham were by far the better side. Declan Rice got a very good goal, Jarrod Bowen with a very good finish, and then it just all spiralled away. I thought that Rodrigo's effort was fantastic. Apart from that, I didn't really see where the quality came from. Everyone decided to come inside for some strange reason, where West Ham were packing the midfield. It didn't really make a lot of sense to me. The effort was surely down the wings to try and create some crosses, but then you lost Patrick Bamford, which was an absolute hammer blow. I'm sorry, it had to be done. Sorry, that's just... Poor joke, let's move on. But losing Bamford was really, really bad, obviously, and then they just couldn't really recover from that. You can see when Bamford went off, it just followed the Declan Rice goal, and the effort and the just belief seemed to flow away from this Leeds United side, who weren't able to materialise anything going forwards, really. And if we have a look at some of the average positions, first of all, let's start with West Ham, because they've got some good verticality to them. They've got some good width as well, making sure they're able to support their wingers. The overlaps were very good. One winger comes inside in Fornals. Then you have Danny Ings leading the line. I thought West Ham were very, very good. And then we have a look at Leeds United. And I spoke about the players wanting to come inside into the centre of the park, and it went towards Declan Rice, who is by far and away West Ham's best central midfielder, and I don't really understand where the play was. Rodrigo leading the line going forwards after Bamford went off was fine, but Leeds had no width. There was not really a lot to go off. And then you have a look at some of the chances they created, and it just became a little bit poor. Ayling tried his best to go forwards, but then defensively he was a bit all over the place, and that allowed counterattacks for West Ham, and eventually Leeds started committing more men forwards, and it all fell apart. And Sam Allardyce after the game spoke about how he didn't feel like his changes really made any difference, and they didn't really impact the game the way that he wanted them to. And I've got to agree with that. I thought Gnonto was okay, but really didn't change anything, honestly. And then the rest of them didn't really either. I thought Greenwood was okay in certain instances, but Aronson has been disappointing, so has Somerville, and Rocker for McKennie just wasn't really any kind of difference. And that's the major issue. Nothing that is in this Leeds United side screams that they have the belief to be able to go forwards, to be able to win a match, and it all just falls apart. 0.9 expected goals when you desperately need to win. Defensively, you're a bit all over the place. 2.15 expected goals for West Ham, and they got their 3 goals. 59% possession, 9 shots on target, 19 shots. It just isn't good. 3 shots on target for Leeds United, and that's the story of their season. They just can't get anything going. Quality-wise, they're lacking, and they look like they're destined for the drop. I'm sorry, but they really do. 66 duels won. You're talking about effort from your side. Effort. That's all you ask for, really, when you're a fan. Effort from your side to be able to show that you care. Show that you need to put in some kind of drive. And losing that many duels is just not good enough. Losing this many aerials. West Ham won twice the amount of aerials that Leeds United did, and that's baffling to me. It was nearly 3 times. Nearly. Nowhere near good enough. Yes, Leeds had more tackles, but I mean, honestly, that's just a bit of a consolation. And really, they were poor. They were poor. It didn't go their way. And this season hasn't gone their way. And really, they seem to be getting what they deserve, unfortunately, for their poor quality throughout the season. The game ended West Ham 3, Leeds 1, and it looks like Leeds are heading for the drop. Let me know your thoughts as to whether you believe Leeds United will stay in the Premier League or whether they will be in the Championship next season. Let me know. Finally, let's have a look at the Premier League table before we end. We have Southampton, who are obviously relegated. Leicester play a massive game against Newcastle to see whether they will be one of the relegated teams. 30 points, it's not looking good for them. Leeds United, after their loss against West Ham, stay on 31 points with one game left. Everton got a massive 1-1 draw against Wolverhampton Wanderers in the 100th minute or the 99th minute, and it gave them an extra point to really make sure that they were in contention for the last game of the season. Forest, we know, are safe, as are Bournemouth, who went down to a 1-0 loss to Manchester United. West Ham obviously got their 3-1 victory over Leeds United. Wolves drawing 1-1 against Everton. A big point for Everton that Chelsea have made sure that they cannot finish higher than 11th place this season. And that is ridiculous when you consider the £600 million investment, when you consider the amount that the club was bought for, when you consider the amount of managers that they've gone through. Chelsea need a rebuild, and they need a rebuild fast. Is Mauricio Pochettino the answer? Chelsea fans, I want you to let me know in the comments how you would change this football club and what you would do to start off the new season with a bit of hope. Crystal Palace are 11th. They've done very, very well this season, haven't they, to stabilise themselves. Roy Hodgson, should he be given the job yet again? Fulham have done very well as well. We need to remember that Fulham were one of the promoted teams. I think a lot of people forget that, and they just expect a little bit more from Fulham because of their really good start. This is a fantastic finish from Fulham, and really, the manager needs to be in contention for manager of the season, considering the previous performances from Fulham when they were last promoted up into the Premier League. They need to be really put in contention because Fulham are fantastic. Mitrovic getting another couple of goals, by the way, just sensational. Brentford, after their horrendous news about Ivan Toney, I don't know what Tony's thinking about there, but they got a big 3-1 victory over Tottenham, but they were away from home, so it's 3-1 away from home. Tottenham, what are you doing? I mean, honestly, just nowhere near good enough, and Tottenham look like they're going to be missing out on European football altogether, and that's because of Aston Villa's 1-1 draw, or their 2-2 draw, I should say, with Liverpool. Liverpool getting a 90th minute really equaliser through Bobby Firmino to keep their Champions League places alive, or hopes alive, with Manchester United winning that game against Bournemouth. Aston Villa moving into 7th position. Brighton making sure that they have European football. Brighton will be in Europe for the first time in their history, and that is fantastic to say. It's very, very nice to see, and they thoroughly deserve it after a fantastic campaign. Moving up, we have Newcastle, who need only 1 point to secure themselves Champions League football. Will they do it? I think they will. But will it be in their game coming up, or will it be at the end of the season in their final match on Sunday? Let me know your thoughts, and let me know your thoughts on how well you think Newcastle have done. Finally, Arsenal have gifted the title to Manchester City after losing their game 1-0 to the likes of Nottingham Forest. What a win that was for Forest, making sure they're safe. Arsenal, like I said, gifting the title to Manchester City, who are your champions yet again. Is there any stopping them? Is there any stopping them? I mean, they've gone on a ridiculous run, and it doesn't look like they're going to be stopping anytime soon. They're on for the treble. Man City fans, I want you to tell me, can you win the treble? Is it on? Can you do it? You've won the title. The FA Cup against Manchester United seems like a doddle and a walk in the park. And you have a Champions League final against Inter Milan. The treble seems to be on. Let me know your thoughts. But that is your Premier League table on the penultimate match week. We have 1 week left to go, and then the season is all but over. What a ride it's been. Thank you ever so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave the video with a like and subscribe. It really would mean a lot to me. If you would like to support the channel a little bit more, you can do. You can become a channel member and get yourself a whole host of perks, including member badges and member-only videos. If that's something you're interested in, then please hit that join button just underneath the video, or head to the channel and click join. Follow the instructions and become a club member. And as ever, all of your support is very much appreciated. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as well. Let me know your thoughts on all the games we talked about: Man City winning the league, Arsenal faltering at the final hurdle, and Nottingham Forest gaining safety. Who are the teams that are going to be relegated for you? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. But that's it from me for today. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.